Hello, friends. My name is Marcus. I am from a small city, and I want to share my learning process with you. I also want to tell you about my fantastic teacher. You can read my story and learn English with me. It is a beautiful summer day, and I am traveling on a train. Two women are on the train with me, sitting opposite me. They speak English, but I don't understand much. I study English, but I am a beginner and don't know many words. I start to speak to the women, saying some words in my basic English. The women understand what I want to say, and I am happy. I tell them I want to learn English. They tell me they are from England and are returning home from a conference. Our conversation lasts 10 minutes. The next station is mine, so I say goodbye. The women give me their address and phone number, inviting me to visit them in England after this meeting. I work on my English every day. I translate texts and watch films in English. In 6 months, my English improves a lot. It is good, but I want to know more, so I go to London to study English. When I am in London, I enroll in a school. My first lesson is on Monday. I meet my teacher and other students in the class. My teacher is a young lady, very nice. We say our names and where we are from, then the lesson starts. Our teacher asks how we study English and tells us. She can teach us a very effective method. This method is very simple. Our teacher tells us we don't have to study textbooks, but need to use English a lot. This is very good for me, because I don't like studying or textbooks. Then we talk about what is important when learning a new language. Our teacher tells us we need languages for communication, to express and understand ideas. So the best method is to use the language for communication. This is what we will do in our course. We will speak a lot. Many students try to memorize new words and study grammar rules, but don't use English for speaking. They study the language, but don't use it. Of course, you need to learn new words and grammar, but you don't have to study them traditionally. In this course, I will show you a very simple and effective method to learn words and grammar. I like what our teacher says. Our lesson continues, and we talk about our hobbies and what we do in our free time. We speak in pairs or with our teacher. Throughout the lesson, I like it and I am really happy. This system of learning is very good for me. Chapter 2. How I Learn Words. I go to school again on Tuesday. One student asks a very interesting question. What is the best method to learn new words? Our teacher says there are many ways to learn new words. For her, reading is the best. People who read learn faster than those who don't. It is good to read for 30 minutes every day. She explains how to get the maximum benefit from reading. It is important that the book or text is interesting to you. It can be a nice story or contain interesting information related to your job or hobby. Don't read texts that don't interest you. It is good to read texts where you know many words. Of course, you will encounter words you don't know. When you see an unknown word, look it up in a dictionary and then continue reading. You don't need to write down the word or try to memorize it immediately. Just translate it and keep reading, focusing on understanding the text. This method is very simple. Just read and translate new words as you encounter them. Reading is also beneficial because it shows you how words connect in sentences. This method of learning new words is very effective. Try it and see how quickly you can learn new words. We continue the lesson, talking about the situation in England and the best jobs for students. This is good for me because I want to have a job after school. I ask other students if they know where I can find a job. They tell me to go to a job center, which has many jobs for students. This is good for me, and I am happy to know where to find a job. When my day at school ends, I go to the job center. I don't know what jobs I can do, so I ask the lady at the job center for the best job for a student. She tells me they have good jobs for students, like being a cleaner or waiter in a cafe. I tell her I have no experience with these jobs, but she says my English is good enough to work in a cafe. The training is not difficult, and I can use English when speaking to customers. She tells me I can start my job on Thursday. I am happy to have a job where I can use English. Chapter 3. How I Learn Pronunciation. On Wednesday, I go to school again. One student in the class is quieter than others. He is from South Korea. When our teacher asks if we have any questions, this student says he has a big problem with pronunciation. He knows his pronunciation is not very good and doesn't know how to improve it. He doesn't speak much because he doesn't like his pronunciation. He reads and watches films in English a lot and understands well, but he wants to speak well. He asks if there is something he can do about his pronunciation. Our teacher says, "Okay, I can tell you something about pronunciation and how to practice it. First, we need to understand why students have problems with pronunciation. When we speak, we move our mouth and use muscles. The problem is that when you speak English, you might use the muscles as you do in your native language, causing your English pronunciation to sound like your native language. This is common among students learning English. Most students have slightly different pronunciation from native speakers, but it's usually not a big problem because people understand you. However, you can work on your pronunciation to improve it. She explains a technique called shadowing. It is very simple. You copy the sound you hear. Just like children learning their first language, they copy what they hear from their parents repeatedly until their pronunciation is perfect. You can learn English pronunciation the same way. Take a video that is not too fast and easy to understand, listen, and copy what you hear. Our teacher shows us a video on YouTube demonstrating the shadowing technique. We watch the video and then practice shadowing for about 3 minutes. Our teacher tells us that shadowing is also good for preparing for a presentation. Before the presentation, you can do shadowing for about 10 minutes to improve your pronunciation. This is very interesting for me because I haven't heard about this technique before. After the lesson, I go to the school reception and ask if there are any sports activities at school. I would like to do some sport in England. The lady at the reception says they have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team has training today at 5 p.m. I am very happy because sport is very important in my life. I go to the football training and meet players from different countries like Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I enjoy the training, and I am happy that my time in England is starting well. I have a great teacher and new friends from my football team. Also, I am starting my job tomorrow. Chapter 4. I practice speaking. On Thursday, I go to school again. We have a new student in our class. Her name is Monica, and she is from Italy. At the beginning of the lesson, our teacher asks Monica some questions. Our teacher knows Monica because she visited her class a year ago during a summer holiday class for beginners. When Monica speaks, her English is beautiful. Her pronunciation is very good, and she is very fluent. Our teacher is very happy and says your school in Italy must be very good. Monica replies, I don't go to any school. I learn English at home using techniques from you. I do a lot of reading, shadowing, and thinking a lot. I try to think more in English than in Italian. This is how I work on my English. The 2 weeks I spent last summer in your class helped me a lot. You showed me the way, and I know how to work on my English every day. That's why I wanted to join your class again. A year ago, I was a beginner, and now I can speak English. I want to learn from you again. Our teacher is very happy to hear this, and thanks Monica for her hard work. This is all very interesting for me. I already know about reading and the shadowing technique, but Monica also speaks about thinking aloud. I don't know what it is, so I ask our teacher. Our teacher explains thinking aloud is a very effective technique. You need strong motivation to learn English. To benefit from this technique, some people might find it a bit crazy, but when you start to think aloud, your English can improve very quickly. I say I have strong motivation. I don't care if the technique is crazy. If it helps, I want to learn it. Can you teach us this technique? Our teacher says it is actually very simple. You think in your native language all day, every day. Now you can start to think in English. When you start to think in English, then you can think aloud. You simply say aloud what you think. I say it is very simple. Why is it very effective? Our teacher says, maybe you can ask Monica. She uses this technique and can tell you more about it. When you read, you will learn grammar in the context of the whole sentence. I also recommend shadowing. When you do shadowing, you practice the correct grammar naturally. You don't have to try to remember anything. You only copy sentences with correct grammar. If you need English for speaking, but also want to study grammar, you can visit Grammar and Levels. This website shows what grammar is important for the different levels of English. You can find the most important grammar rules for speaking there. The second group of students are those who study English for passing an exam. If you are one of these students, I recommend studying specifically for this exam. Obtain versions of this exam from the past years, if possible, and train with them. Of course, your exam will be a little different, but the structure is usually the same or very similar. From my point of view, the versions of the exam from the past years are good training materials. Then I recommend going to the exam only when your results in the training materials are such that you can pass the exam successfully. Did I answer your question? Yes, thank you, says the student. This is good news. I don't like studying grammar. I learn English because I want to be able to speak. I don't need to pass any exam. I'm happy that I don't have to study grammar much. I like reading, and I am happy that I can learn grammar by reading books. After the lesson, I go to the website Grammar and Levels. It is really a nice website. There are grammar rules with examples for each level. They have 3 levels, 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 words. In the afternoon, I go to my work. It is my second day, and I can already do a lot of things by myself, but my boss helps me when I need it. I see that my work is not very difficult. Also, I can practice English when I speak to our customers. Moral: when you want to have good grammar, read a lot. Are you passionate about stories and want to improve your English? Subscribe to our channel. We bring you captivating stories that will entertain you and help you learn English naturally. Don't miss out on our weekly uploads. Hit the subscribe button and join our community of story lovers. Follow us to embark on exciting adventures, learn new vocabulary, and enjoy the magic of storytelling in English. See you in the next story.